I'm Sarah Kuhn Magnin, Associate Professor in the Department of Political Science and Criminal Justice at the University of South Alabama in Mobile, Alabama. This presentation is Barriers to Help Seeking Among Male Victims of Sexual Assault. Although sexual assault is often discussed as a crime perpetrated by men against women, and that is the most common dynamic, data clearly indicate that men are also victims of sexual assault. Estimates from the Department of Justice's National Crime Victimization Survey suggest that more than 50,000 men were sexually assaulted in 2019. The CDC administers the National Intimate Partner and Sexual Violence Survey, and according to their most recent estimates, more than 27 million men in the United States have experienced contact sexual violence in their lifetime. In 1980, a scholar named Martha Burt coined the phrase rape myth and introduced an instrument aimed at measuring these prevalent beliefs about sexual assault, its perpetrators, and its victims. Rape myths are generally inaccurate and tend to do one of three things: trivialize the assault, imply that it was not that big of a deal or the victim is overreacting; blame the victim by suggesting they somehow caused the assault themselves; or excuse the perpetrator by placing blame elsewhere, such as on the victim or an allegedly uncontrollable impulse. The most commonly used instrument for assessing rape myths features statements depicting sexual assault committed by men against women, and asks participants to indicate their degree of agreement with each statement. There is an extensive literature on rape myth adherence, and it suggests that other types of ideologies correlate with these attitudes. Specifically, a meta-analysis by Suarez and Gadaya showed a positive relationship between holding rape myth attitudes and hostile attitudes towards women and measures of sexism, racism, classism, and ageism. In the 1990s, scholars extended the rape myth literature by including statements depicting male victims. The Struckman-Johnsons included statements such as, "It is impossible for a woman to rape a man," and "Most men who are raped by a woman do not need counseling after the incident." Melanson male rape myth scale includes the following statements: "Most men who are raped by a woman are somewhat to blame for not escaping or fighting off the woman," and "I would have a hard time believing a man who told me that he was raped by a woman." Like the myths against women as victims, these types of beliefs trivialize the assault and treat it as though it is a minor ordeal. Furthermore, they seem to undermine the possibility that a man can even be sexually assaulted. Belief in rape myths can impact victims in two main ways. First, through their own internalization and belief in such myths, and second, if they are treated differently by others in line with these beliefs. It can also operate at many levels, including the macro or societal level, within institutions, the meso level, within interpersonal relationships, the micro level, based on characteristics of the assault, or the individual's own background. Experience with rape myth attitudes harms victims by increasing the risk of secondary victimization and further trauma if they are blamed or disbelieved by those who are responsible for responding to sexual assault, including SANEs, law enforcement, or other professionals. If a victim of sexual assault supports rape myth beliefs, they are more likely to blame themselves and at an increased risk of multiple negative health outcomes, particularly mental health outcomes. Data indicate that men hold rape myth attitudes at higher levels than women, so it is possible that men who are victims of sexual assault also hold these attitudes at high rates. Victims who hold rape myths are less likely to seek services such as medical or counseling services because they're afraid of being further traumatized or disbelieved. Finally, if rape myths are held at a high enough level, it can result in insufficient resource availability or non-inclusive resource availability. So even if a victim would like to come forward for aid, he may not feel comfortable to do so because there is not an environment that would make him feel